And good Tuesday afternoon, friends. I'm meteorologist Tim Pandajis, and the story this week and most of last week has been the heat. And here's a look at the amount of records that we've either broken or tied so far this month. And it's really reminded me of what we went through last December when records were falling every other day, it seemed like, and we ended up as the warmest December on record. Well, at Hobby in Galveston right now, we are standing as the warmest May on record, and Bush is set at number 2. Of course, we still got about 2 weeks to go, but there's still more heat in the forecast that'll likely just push those higher on the list. So Galveston has either broken or tied 8 record highs so far this month, and that's about half the days so far this month that have been seeing record heat. Out there so far today, records that are in jeopardy, nothing's close right now. Most of the records are in the mid-90s, except for Galveston. That might get close again today. So far, they've hit 87, and it's only early afternoon. So rain chances are also the big story, because there's been none. We've had no rain here over the past 10 days to 15 days in a lot of areas, but as we head towards the weekend, chances do go up. Not exponentially high, but 30% Saturday, Sunday, and even into Monday, as a weak boundary will try to drop its way on through. As it does so, it kind of falls apart, but it will provide enough lift that we'll likely see some widespread showers, maybe a few thunderstorms. Maybe we'll see a quarter of an inch, half an inch. Any will help, especially for coastal cities and counties experiencing that very bad drought situation that's been ongoing for weeks now. Now I want to jump over to the other big talker that's certainly on social media. If you've seen any of these posts about a potential hurricane in the Gulf of Mexico by Memorial Day weekend, I want to show you right now the tropics are quiet. We're about 2 weeks out from the official start of hurricane season. Mother Nature doesn't follow a calendar. In fact, the last 7 seasons, we've had a tropical system in the Atlantic Basin in May. So it's not unheard of, not uncharted territory, but for now, there's nothing going on. However, going out in the next 4 or 5 days, we're going to watch for something to develop that's also not unheard of this time of the year. In fact, it's very common, something called the Central American Gyre. KHOU event is what we call it. And what this is just a broad area of low pressure sitting over Central America that increases the amount of lift in the atmosphere. And every now and then of this broad rotation, we see a little piece break off, and that gives a seed for development of potential tropical systems, either into the southern Caribbean, Gulf of Mexico, or the eastern Pacific. Now, keep that in mind, because as we look at the computer models going forward, we'll look at our 2 long range, the GFS and the Euro. We'll start with the GFS, which I will say has been extremely consistent for the past 7 days. This is what it's been showing pretty much, or some variation of a tropical system entering the Gulf of Mexico, and this most latest run is no different. So consistency is key here with the GFS. Here we are just heading into Memorial Day weekend, so still a lot of time for this to change, and it will, but this is certainly something to watch here. On the contrary, the European model says nothing. I don't think anything's going to come out of this KHOU event. In fact, if anything at all, maybe a weak little low gets ejected out into the eastern Pacific, not affecting anybody at all. So you've got 2 different sides of the spectrum here to look at, but the GFS certainly has been consistent. Currently out in the Gulf of Mexico, we've got a lot of dry air. We can see that on our water vapor imagery, which shows the copper color, and that's extremely dry air in the mid-levels of the atmosphere. For a tropical system to exist in this, you would need it to be a whole lot more moist in multiple levels of the atmosphere. We don't have that right now. It's also very dry out in the middle parts of the Atlantic, and why that matters is because all of this air is moving west, and this is all consistent with Saharan dust. That's common this time of the year as well. It's getting ejected, picked up by upper-level winds, and transported across the Atlantic Ocean, and eventually by this weekend it will end up in the southern Caribbean and the Gulf of Mexico. That's also an inhibiting factor to tropical development. Now, a factor that would help it develop if it was to get going is the very warm ocean temperatures. This has been an ongoing thing pretty much for the last couple months, that they're running well above average, and you need 80 degrees or warmer for tropical genesis, and we've got it. 84, 86, 86, so water temperatures certainly warm, and they're running well above the seasonal averages by about 5 degrees, especially in the northern Gulf and western Gulf of Mexico. So plenty of energy there. It's just going to have to overcome the dry air and potential wind shear that would be inhibiting factors. Here's a look at the last 7 seasons. If we get a name system, which the first name would be Alex this year, it would make it 8 seasons in a row. Last year was Anna that kicked off the season, and was a pretty active season as well. Now, your 7-day forecast here locally, it's just hot and humid through the rest of the work week. We've got our rain chances kicking up on Saturday and Sunday. It may be turning a little bit cooler by early next week.